High five, kid.
Yeah, that's it.
Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. Welcome back to my channel, Let's Talk. I know I've been absent for a minute there. I'm sorry. I got really sick and was not able to record, so I apologize. But I'm back and I have a topic that I'd like to discuss today, and that is about homeschooling versus public schooling. I know everyone's got a hot take on it and an opinion. So, I got my notes here. Let's discuss. So, children have been homeschooled for centuries, essentially since the beginning of civilization, as home-based education was primary way of learning before Advent formal schooling. So, why am I bringing this up? Well, I am a parent. I have chosen to homeschool my daughter. She has been homeschooled since day one. Now, I will say initially when I started homeschooling her, the decision to do so was purely selfish because I wasn't ready to let her go. But then the more research I did on the district, the failure of the education institution to our youth and our students, it became clear I made the right decision. So, with all of that being said, I do want to give you a brief history on home education. Ancient to pre-modern times. Early history. For most of human history, children were educated at home, often through a combination of literacy training based on religious texts, basic practical skills, and apprenticeships. For the wealthy, this included hiring private tutors, such as Aristotle tutoring Alexander the Great. The rise of public schooling in the 19th and the 20th century, formal compulsory school became common in developed countries. This shift caused home education to decline dramatically. For me, I guess in my observation, and even an argument, I guess you could say, is that it was just not socially normal to homeschool your child because of the times I grew up, and if your child was homeschooled, they must be weird. Okay, let's do a little bit more research. The modern homeschool movement. In the 1960s and 1970s, a renewed interest in homeschooled education arose from critics who were dissatisfied with the quality of traditional schooling. Early pioneers, figures like educationer John Holt and Christian author John Rushdoony, argued for alternative approaches for formal schooling. Growing Without Schooling in 1977, John Holt founded the newsletter Growing Without Schooling, which connected early homeschooled families. In the 1980s and 1990s, the movement gained momentum, especially among conservative evangelical Christians who were concerned about the secularized public schools. Increased legal protections. Organizations like Homeschool Legal Defense Association fought legal battles to establish parents' rights to homeschool their children. Legal in all 50 states. By 1993, homeschooling was recognized as a legal option in all 50 states. The 21st century and beyond. The rise of the internet, new curricula, and parent-led movements have led continued growth and diversification of homeschooling. The COVID-19 pandemic. It's a hot topic. Daddy YouTube might get mad about me bringing up the COVID-19 and the pandemic as it is, but this period saw a massive surge in the number of homeschooled children as many families sought alternative to virtual rather than in-person public education. Homeschooling can be better than public school by offering personalized learning with academic benefits, which increase flexibility in schedule and location, and a learning environment aligned with the family's values and beliefs. Research indicates homeschooled students may perform better academically and experience improved psychological well-being due to reduced bullying and peer pressure. However, the choice depends on the family's unique circumstances and priorities. Now, that I wholeheartedly believe. And whether you're willing to admit it or not, that is a definite reason to homeschool your children. Is there are a lot of pressures out there to conform to be a certain way. And if you are the slight bit different at all, then you're an outcast or there's something wrong with you. It's not just because we're all individuals and we're all meant to be unique, not the same. And I have a niece. She is in a public school and I love her. I love her more than anything in this world. But she's 13, and when she starts talking about being bisexual, or she starts mentioning how the school pushes that because she believes her friend is a pretty girl that she must have an interest in the same sex. It's like they're pushing that on her. And to me, that's not right. I feel like there's a lot of things that are wrong with the school systems pushing on ideologies that align with political structures, and that's not something I believe belongs in the school system. But who am I? I'm just some girl on YouTube giving my opinion and giving you a crash course on homeschooling versus public schooling. Anyway, the reasons I'm going to give to you as far as why I believe homeschooling is better. Again, I'll also give some, I guess, benefits to the public education, if you can call it that, but we'll get there. The benefits of homeschooling your child is they have personalized attention. Homeschooling allows for a tailored curriculum and space addressing your child's individual strengths and weaknesses. Some research suggests that homeschool students score higher on standardized tests compared to their public school peers, potentially due to more focused learning. Flexibility. Children can learn at their own pace, delve deeper into subjects of interest, also skip ahead or spend more time on challenging topics, leading to better understanding. Now that, being a homeschool parent, is absolutely true. There are certain things that me and my daughter have spent considerable more time on, and they're topics that she finds fascinating, so she wants to learn more about them, and I'm all for that. Right now we're learning about ancient civilizations, and she's been fascinated with Egyptian times, so that's what we're spending more time on currently. All right, sorry. Back to pros. Family values. Homeschooling allows parents to incorporate their own religious, political, and ethical values into their children's education. Now, to me, that is important because in their family values, not something that a school is pushing should be your values or whatever fits a narrative in the moment. And I know that's going to be a hot topic with a lot of people because it's unfortunately true. If you get a teacher that is a Democrat or a teacher that is a Republican, they are going to force feed that down your child's throat, regardless of what political party you belong to. It is what it is. Teaching your child at home, you can give them your values. They can actually get more in-depth understanding of what your core beliefs are. And I think that that's important rather than the school raising your child and giving them cliff notes. Controlled environment. Parents can create a comfortable learning environment free from negative influences like bullying, drugs, unhealthy social dynamics that exist in public schools. That is just what it is, you know, and you may not agree with this, but I have a friend and her youngest cousin, I'm not going to say names, but it was all over social media, because apparently that's the thing to do now, is to record two young individuals, two high school individuals fighting, and then one stabbing another child in the face. Because that's just what's happening in our public school system nowadays. Stronger family relationships. The shared experience of learning at home can foster stronger bonds and a sense of collaboration within the family unit. Let that sink in. I'm going to give you some practical advantages, and I hope that we can have a debate about this and you can tell me whether or not you agree and why. You have flexible scheduling. That is a practical advantage. Homeschooling provides flexibility to set daily schedules that suit the family's needs, avoiding the daily rush of commuting to a traditional school. Now, I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do have some friends that have said and have complained vigorously about how it takes at least 1 to 2 hours to drop their child off, because everything is all set up like a factory. You have a drop-off and a pickup location, and you must be there at a certain time if you want your child to get there on time, and it's like a line. I'm sorry, to me, things are hard enough without adding on 4 hours out of your day to drop your child off and pick them up from a school that the child may actually hate, that you may actually hate. So there's that. Time efficiency. Eliminating travel time to school and time spent waiting for slower students can make the learning process more efficient, allowing for shorter school days. Support for healthy special needs. Homeschooling can offer a more suitable environment for children with special needs, allowing the adaptation of lessons to meet the specific requirements. Now, I know back when I was in school, they had classes for children that had a harder time learning, that had specific needs, and although they do have those now, I don't find them sufficient. I find them severely lacking. Okay? Support for special needs. Oh, okay, we already went over that. My apologies. Why public schools are failing. I'm going to give you the key components on that. Curriculum and teaching methods are challenges. They are. Now here's why. They focus on core subjects. Many parents and experts believe school spends insufficient time on fundamental subjects like reading and math and science. This is actually very true. I have a few of my friends, I'm not going to say who, that have said that their child can't read, and they're 11 years old. That's a very big failure on the school system, if you ask me. I have people that have complained that their child can't do basic math because the Common Core math that they're teaching is too frustrating and the child does not get it. Okay? Political and social climate. The introduction of personal politics and social views into the classroom is a major concern for many, potentially disrupting the education environment. I agree with that. And you want to know why? You might not want to know why, but I'm going to tell you why anyway. Because everyone has a different background. You might have a teacher who is a Republican, and the student may be liberal, I guess we could just say that, or they come from a liberal family, or you could say Democrat, whatever the hell you want to call it. And their teacher is giving them their feedback, and then they're taking it home, and it causes a disruption in their learning because it does not belong. It just doesn't. And vice versa. Okay. Lack of individualized attention. Let's face it, our classrooms are so massive that one teacher cannot give any child the special focus or attention they may need, and they're overlooked and they're left behind, or they're just passed without knowing what they actually need to know. Cookie cutter approaches treat all students the same. They ignore diverse needs, learning styles, and unique strengths. This can be particularly detrimental for neurodivergent students or those with specific learning goals. That means children that might have ADHD or children that might be on the autistic spectrum. Okay, so when you think about that, in terms such as this, giving a child a cookie cutter curriculum that just doesn't align with where they are, again, to me, it's a failure. And another thing that's a failure to get your child to be compliant is giving them freaking medication for being ADHD. You know what? Kids are hyper. Let them be kids. You know, if they're a little bit disruptive, oh well. Here are some common yet ignorant comments and why they are often misinformed. I hear these a lot. They're not socialized. Apparently, just because you homeschool your child, they're not socialized. Here's why it's ignorant. This is perhaps the most common myth. Homeschooled children often participate in community activities, clubs, sports, lessons with other children, which provide ample opportunities for socialization and diverse settings. That is what it is. Okay? So when people say, oh, your children is not socialized because they are homeschooled, it's a myth and it's just completely ignorant. They can't get an adequate education. What's adequate, especially if our public system, the educational system through the public schools, is failing our students? Again, I digress. Why it's ignorant. Homeschooling allows for personalized one-on-one instructions tailored to the child's learning style and space, often leading to a higher academic achievement. Research shows homeschooled students typically perform above average in social, emotional, and physical developments. It's true. They do. Because everything is tailored to that child, not 50 other students that are in a classroom. It's just a temporary thing. You'll send them to school eventually. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this from my in-laws. Why it's ignorant. Many families choose homeschooling as a permanent education path for its benefits, such as flexibility, safety, and alignment of their values. Yeah, absolutely. You're not qualified to teach your child. You know, while I didn't spend, $60,000 or $70,000 to go to school to be a teacher, I think I'm more than qualified, and my daughter is doing great. She's surpassed every milestone. She's tested regularly, and she's doing just fine. Why it's ignorant. Parents who homeschool often use a variety of resources that they can access through the internet and community learning approaches to provide a comprehensive education. I have so many different resources that are available. There are free resources that are available if you don't have the means to pay for resources that can give your child a higher education versus sending your child to a school where their needs are not being met. That is just what it is. And I mean, you can disagree with that, but I'd love to hear a strong argument as to your reasoning on why they should go to a public school, and because you think it's going to be more beneficial. Go ahead and tell me why. It's not legal. I don't know where anyone comes off with that, but I have heard people say, homeschooling can't be legal. Homeschooling is legal in all 50 United States. Regulations vary state by state, with some requiring notice to the state of following specific requirements. So, where I'm at, the only thing I am required to do is register my daughter with the county. But there are specific states that do want your child to pass an exit exam every year to show that they're meeting their guidelines. And that makes sense. I mean, I do that with my daughter for the most part, but it's not required where I'm at. Okay. They'll be sheltered from the real world. That's my favorite. Here's why I feel that that's an ignorant statement. Homeschooling can be actually richer and broader experience by following students to learn from a wider range of resources, community experience, and real-world interactions rather than being confined to a classroom. Now, here's some examples of that. I work from home, okay? So that puts me in a unique position where I'm also able to homeschool my child. But with me working from home, she gets to see what I do all day. She also is quick with a computer. She can type, and she's very literal on everything that she does and she says. She's very specific and precise with everything that she does, and I love that. Now, also, she is learning how to cook. She has learned a lot about taxes already, and that's not something a lot of schools teach anymore. I mean, I don't know when this really started, but I started noticing it when I was in school myself, the decline in home ec, and to me that is something that is important. Being able to provide for yourself and knowing how to cook for yourself rather than just, oh, it's up the road, I can just drive up there and get a hamburger. I'm sorry, but if that is your idea of giving your child hands-on knowledge of cooking, you've got a problem. Also, she's learning how to grow her own food. That is something that we started using for part of her science labs, is she's growing her own vegetables. She's got her own greenhouse, and she's in charge of keeping that maintained to maintain an A. So she waters everything regularly. She checks the soil regularly. She lets me know if things are starting to wilt and what we need to do as far as trying to bring the plant back, because we are in a hotter climate. So those are different things that she is responsible for. She's also very independent. She will work in a team, but she's very independent and she can do for herself. And I don't feel like that is something that is taught in the school systems anymore. Ideally, they want factory workers, is what they're turning out, okay? And you might not agree with that, but when you go and send your child to school, and I've been to school, so I can tell you this, the first thing that they tell you is to sit still, don't break anything, and listen to your teacher. The reason why I say they're turning out drones and factory workers is because eventually you get to a point, that's what they've taught you. Sit still, don't break anything. You get out into the real world, sit still, don't break anything. I mean, take it for what it is, but I feel like, to me, that's just a form of mind control. There's just so many different things that are fundamentally wrong with all of that. Now, my daughter is very carefree. She is spunky and funny, and she's quick-witted. But she also knows when to observe her surroundings. So, I don't know if she would get that in a public education. I have so many children that I hear stories from about how going to school makes them want to self-exit. And they're children. They're like 12, 13 years old, and that is heartbreaking. There are more children today that are medicated because of the anxiety that other children incite. And that's awful. And you could be of sound mind and say, well, they're just kids, they'll grow out of it. Well, not if it's being learned at home, or not if it's something that the school teaches. So, I mean, where do you draw a line here? Now, in this instance, I'm going to actually give public schooling its dues. There are parents out there that don't have the time or the patience to homeschool. Sometimes it's a single parent household and it's just not feasible. And I get that. You know, it's a sad reality, but there are single moms, single dads, and some of them have to work multiple jobs and they do not have the luxury of being able to homeschool. I don't see it as a luxury, I see it as a choice. Regardless of funding, to me, it is a choice. But if you don't have that kind of time, I get it. I do. But I guess you have to also ask yourself too, on the same coin, what has your child learned from being public schooled other than how to come in at 8 o'clock every day, how to leave at 3:30 every day? It's kind of like a prison where there's cliques and you've got bullies, you've got geeks, and those are the labels that they put on themselves because that's just what is socially normal in a school. Now, I know I've been ranting about this for a little while now, and you might agree and you might not agree. That's okay. So, I know I said that I was going to try to give more key points to why sending your child to a public school can be a good thing. But after going over every reason why homeschooling is better, I can't really give you one other than the fact that sometimes it's just a necessity. Sometimes it is just that, a necessity. It doesn't mean I think it's the right thing to do. I'm not going to judge someone because they homeschool their kid. I'm not going to judge someone because they don't. That's not for me. But I also don't think that we should be talking about social norms, saying that it's just not normal to homeschool your kid. I mean, in this day and age, what is normal? So, I know this was a bit of a long one. This was a hot topic for some of you, I'm sure. But you can go ahead and comment down below. Let's talk. You proud of yourself there, kiddo?
Yeah.
You want to put some more dirty water in there?
I'm gonna settle right now.
You're just gonna let it
chill.
sit?
Let it chill right now that I'm adding
It's
more.
working. The water's working
Yes,
its
it
way through the
is.
sand.
That is so neat.
Did it work?
Yep, and you can see it drip all the way down.
Yeah, it worked.
And then,
So it goes through
Here's where
gravel,
she's
sand,
at.
carbon, paper, and then
just getting clean water. That is really cool, kid.
Did it work for the sound?
It did.